everybody, this is Michelle with Creative Operation, and I'm here today to share my third design team project for Country Craft Creations using Authentique's Hooray paper line. This paper line is really super cute. It's a really fun birthday pattern paper line. The colors, I love the primary colors of it, and I also love the fact that it is, as you can see, has adult papers as well as children's papers so that you can really adapt it to either theme that you want to use. This is my third project. My first project was a banner album in a box, so that was a decor project as well as an album. And then my second one was a gift box album. And this one is going to be an easel album. I'm going to, you already have seen the walkthrough. I have posted, that was the previous video to this one, to just kind of walk through what it is. The album is really super cute and it's really super easy to put together, and I don't think this tutorial will take too long. I did most of it off camera just because I wanted to kind of condense the video a little bit, and since the pages are kind of the same, that's what I did, but we will walk through how to put it together on camera, so you'll know how to put the whole thing together. Go to Country Craft Creations at countrycraftcreations.com and get your papers. I used Authentique's Hooray, and I also used Artisan Cardstock for this. I also use art glitter glue for this project that I got at Country Craft Creations, and then also some seam binding. So let's get started. Let's grab the first piece here. We're going to work on the chipboard covers here, and basically you don't need a whole lot in order to make this album. Let me grab my pieces here that I just promptly threw on the floor. So we're going to make two covers. Now I already did one cover, and this is going to be the back of the album. We'll need to make two, and they're chipboard covered, but you will need to make two of these. Now, let me take this out. So this one I'm calling like the chipboard front, and what this is going to be is I'm going to have two chipboard pieces that are going to be adhered so that they make a tent like this. This is where we get our easel album, so they're going to look like this. So this one is going to be in front, this one is going to be like the back of the album, so that's why I called it that. And this one isn't finished yet because we have to add the actual easel part to it. So we're going to start by wrapping the chipboard. We're going to wrap this one and put the pattern papers on and everything, and then we'll put it all together, and then you'll see how it goes together. So this one here, I just created a pocket with another strip of pattern paper just glued on the three sides. Now, I have to tell you that I didn't have very much paper left over from the first two projects that I had. I had one basically full collection of the paper, and then I had some dots paper, which you'll see I used here. I had 4 sheets of that, and I didn't have a whole lot left over, so I got a little ingenious with the pages. So anyways, let's get started by making the second cover here. And again, you will need 2 pieces of chipboard, and they're 7.5 by 5.5. Okay, so I prepped this one already with some adhesive tape. I usually use score tape sheets that I got from Country Craft Creations, but this time I used something different, which is okay. It worked, but I usually, like I said, get score tape sheets from Country Craft Creations. They do have it in 8.5 by 11-inch sheets, and I love it. Then you'll need 2 pieces of cardstock, and again, this is Artisan Cardstock that I used at 7.5 by 9.5, and this is to wrap our chipboard. So we're going to do our basic wrap that y'all are probably all familiar with, but in case you're not, we'll just go through it with this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my scoreboard, and I'm going to grab, this was a trick that Tamara from Country Craft Creations shared, and I thought it was ingenious, and I wondered why the heck I never thought of that before. It's awesome. But if you take 2 pieces of scrap chipboard and cut them at 1-inch widths, then when you cut your cardstock 1 inch wider and longer than the actual chipboard you're covering, you use these as the measurements, and then you can just lay your chipboard in there, and then you have like the perfect 1-inch measurement all the way around. for when you cover your chipboard. So I'm going to just do that and put my, make sure I don't knock over my tea. That would be bad. So I'm just going to press that down and make sure that it got a good stick. And then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to grab a blunt, my blunt bone folder that I like to use. And I'm just going to feel the edge and I'm just going to go all the way around the edge. Just gently, and all I'm doing here is just trying to start the fold and train the paper, basically kind of scoring it and training the paper to go the direction that I need it to go. Just like that. All the way around. So once I get that, and you do it gentle, don't do it too awful hard. You don't want to take a chance of ripping your paper. Although I have to say, using artisan cardstock, I haven't had that problem. This paper is really, really nice to work with. It's 87 pound and it works really well. So then once you do that, then what I'm going to do is take my score tape and I'm just going to add that to all my edges. And I'm not going to go all the way to the corners on the cardstock just because I'm going to cut those off anyway. And then you can use, you know, when I use score tape, I use my fingernails a lot to cut it because even though it is like super, super strong, it will actually rip fairly easily when you take it off the roll. But once you stick it down, it is there forever. So I'm going to just do that all the way around. And of course, I'm going to run out of a roll right when I'm almost done. So let me grab another roll here. And let's see, find the end of it, which is sometimes the trick. Okay, there we go. All right, and then I'm just gonna do that. Okay, so, and then if you want to just run your bone folder, make sure that it's stuck really good on your chipboard and your cardstock. Okay, and then grab your scissors, and then we're going to just miter the corners, and we're going to make sure that we have an inch of space in between the edge of the chipboard and the end of the cardstock once we cut it. So just make sure there's at least 1/8 of an inch, and do about a 45-degree angle. It doesn't have to be perfect because this is going to get covered up and no one will ever see it. You can, do a perfect 45 if you want. That's fine, but just make sure there's at least 1/8 of an inch of paper beyond the corner there, okay? Then I'll take off all my tape here, and I'm going to go ahead and fold it over on the two sides. And I usually do my little mantra, the top, bottom, side to side thing. So this album is going to sit in this orientation, in a landscape orientation. So this is my top and my bottom, and then I do the sides. And then I just take my fingernail. You can use a bone folder, whatever's comfy for you. And then I'm just going to nudge that little corner in over the edge of the chipboard, and that'll cover it up really nicely. And then fold that over, and then you'll have a nice folded corner that will cover the edge of the chipboard. Okay, so I'm just going to do that on both sides. Just make sure that lays down nice. There we go, like that. And then I'm going to go ahead and grab my big bone folder and push that down, and there you go. So our piece is wrapped now. And then the other thing that you can do is you can take your bone folder and you can kind of go on the edges, and then that will kind of square up those edges too. and make it look even that much more finished. Now, sometimes I've seen people, and I've done it myself, if you're using different papers, if you put a bead of glue, and I probably should have showed you that before I folded it, but if you put a bead of glue at the edge of the cardstock before you fold your cardstock over, that will help adhere it, and also it kind of helps moisten the fibers so that when you fold the paper over, they're not apt to rip. So that's kind of a trick to use. So then what we're going to need, where's the rest of my pieces here? So we're going to need a couple things here. So this is, you like my notes here on my Post-it notes. So this is the cover, the paper that I'm going to use to cover the chipboard, and this is the piece that's going to show on the outside when you actually have the album done. So this is going to glue right here, but we need to add the seam binding. Okay, I am famous for putting the paper down because I get so excited, and then I forget to put the seam binding down. This is what's going to close the album, so we're going to need to add that. So let's grab our score tape again, and the seam binding is going to wrap around the album from the back to the front, right in the middle here, and that's what's going to close everything. So, and keep it nice and neat for when we're ready to store it on our shelf. So I'm just going to add a little bit of score tape, and I'm going to get my centering ruler, and I'm going to find the center of this, which is roughly right about there. Yep, I got that about right. And then grab my seam binding, and I'm going to use 2 pieces. You don't have to use 2 pieces. You can use just one. I'm just going to find the center and put that down. I like 2. I like to use 2 because it makes a really pretty fluffy bow. And I know that a lot, sometimes you don't need a fluffy bow. For this one, I kind of wanted one because that's part of the decoration of this album. I kept it fairly light on the dimensional decorations because of the nature of this album not being like a traditional album with gussets, so I didn't want a whole lot of dimension on it. So that's why I kind of chose the fluffy bow, because that was kind of, a pretty element to have. And so there you go. So do this to both sides, and you're going to do it on this piece right here. And let's line that up again. So roughly in the middle there. And we'll do the white one down first. There. And then I'll put another little bit of score tape over top. And this will also help make sure that everything stays stuck down, and then we'll have the glue on top with the pattern paper. And that will help hold everything together too. And then you don't have to measure the second time because you're just going to go right over the top of that. So that works just fine. And we'll put another layer of score tape. There we go. All right, and then I can take my little love note off here now. I have to thank my friend Lori for the Post-it notes, or the sticky notes. She gave them to me as a thank you for ordering some Color Street nails from her. She's my stylist, and I love them. I think they're just super cute. And of course I didn't have them on today because I did yard work yesterday, and I totally had to change my nails. So, and I haven't gotten back to putting another thing on because I'm going to be doing some more yard work here pretty soon. So then we just put our cardstock over the top, center it, and we're good to go. Find my little gauze here. Make sure it's stuck down nice. Okay, so this is the back of our album. Okay, so this piece here is actually going to be, like I said, the back of the album, and when all the pages are stacked onto here, then these pieces will tie up in the front. Okay, so now we have these 2 pieces. This is where we're going to add our mechanism for the easel. So before we cover that, excuse me, with anything, we're going to need to make the stand. So we're going to need a couple pieces here. And now I pieced this together because, as you guys know, I do cutting guides and I try to maximize the use of my cardstock. So I used 2 pieces to make this. You don't have to, and I will walk you through that once we put this together. But as I'm doing it right now, you need 1 piece that's 7.5 by 3.5, and you need 1 piece that's 7.5 by 3. Now on the 7.5 by 3, you will want to score it on the 3-inch side at 1/2, and that's it, just the 1 score. On the 3.5-inch piece, you'll score it on 1/2 inch on each side. Okay, I'll leave that there in case you guys are writing all that stuff down. So go ahead and we're going to fold these. So the first one with the 2 scores, we're going to fold it like a Z, okay? And then this one here will fold like that, and that'll go like this. So we're going to connect them right here so that it'll look like that, okay? And I'm going to just miter just a little bit. Okay, and then we're going to add our glue to this, and then we'll attach our pieces together. So again, I pieced it together because I didn't want to cut into yet another piece of cardstock. So I used the pieces that I had left over to create this. But if you want to cut into another piece of cardstock, or you have leftovers from another project that are big enough, then all you will need to do is cut a piece. Let me give you the proper measurements. I want to make sure I get this right. That's 6 inches wide by 7.5, and then on the 6-inch side you're going to score at 1/2. So right here at 1/2, at 3 inches, and then at 5.5 inches. Okay, so if you want to just have a 1 piece of cardstock, you can. But again, like I said, I was trying to maximize what I used as far as the scraps go. All right, so then you're going to take your book and you're going to make sure that you got your tops lined up here, because this is going to attach to the bottom pieces. These are going to attach right like that. So we're going to go ahead and miter these corners again, miter the tabs, the 1/2-inch tabs. Let me do that really quick. Y'all should see my floor after these things. Okay, so and then we're just going to glue these 1/2-inch tabs right to the edge of the cardstock. So I'm going to turn this sideways, making sure that it's on the bottom here. And I'm just going to adhere that down. Okay. Just like that. Make sure it's nice and even. Okay. All right. And then this one is going to adhere just like that. So this is going to go right on top like that. And it's just going to be adhered at the bottom of this base here. So we'll do that. Add some glue. And then make sure that it's the proper orientation for your papers. And then go ahead and glue that down. Okay, and then you can go ahead and let's open that up. Make sure it's stuck down really well. All right, so when you do this, you're going to have a piece that looks like this. Okay, so you have your front piece here, and I created a pocket. You don't have to create a pocket if you don't want to, but I wanted to. And then you'll have the back of the album with the seam binding, okay, and attached in the middle. And then what we're going to do is just cover these with cardstock, and you don't have to put pattern paper on here if you don't want to, because nobody's going to see it. It's going to be inside the album itself. So we're going to need 2 pieces of cardstock to cover the back of this, and they're 7 3/8 by 5 3/8. You'll just need 2 of them, and we're just going to glue those down over the backs, cover up the chipboard, and then we're done with that part. I'm just going to add my art glitter glue. Line that up over the top there. And glue that down. Done. Get off some of that glue that seeps out. The good thing about art glitter glue is that it dries nice and clear, so that's good. So like I said, you don't need to put pattern paper on here. You can if you want to. Nothing saying you can't. Totally could. But I chose not to because it's going to be on the inside. So not a whole lot of people are just going to see this. Now you're going to notice some holes here. You actually, unless you want to punch like twice as many times, don't punch any holes until you're done with this part. And you got everything on there and your pattern paper's on and the back cover's on and everything. You don't need to do that. That's going to be the next step, and I'll show you that. But I got a little carried away because I wanted to get the front done. Okay, so that's covered. That's the inside. So your album is going to sit like this. When it's closed, it will fold up like that and be nice and flat. When you want to display it, it'll open up. You've seen these in you know, businesses and stuff like that, so it'll be really a cute thing. So then the holes, let's talk about the holes. So I made a model. What I did was all my pages and my covers are the same. They're 7.5 wide by 5.5 tall. And what I did was I went in, and I'll show you on the back side here, I went in with my ruler and my pencil, and I measured in 3/8 of an inch in and over from the sides. So 3/8 of an inch. Let's just go ahead and put it there. And so 3/8 of an inch. If you can see the lines, there's 1, 2, 3/8 right there. Whoops. And then we're going to put a line or a dot there because that's 1, 2, 3/8 of an inch. Okay, so put a dot there and then go over here and do the same exact thing. So 1, 2 on the 3. Okay. So that's 3/8 of an inch in. So if you do 1/4 of an inch in, it's a little too close to the edges. If you do 1/2 an inch in, it's a little too far away. So 3/8 of an inch was kind of like the perfect measurement. And then I took my Crop-A-Dile, because you are going to need this to get through the layers. And then I just simply put that dot right in the middle there and punched my holes, and then that made a template that I could use, so I only have to measure once and then use this as a pattern. And then if you're like me, I tend to make albums over and over again, so if I make patterns, I keep them with all my notes, and then that way I don't have to do it again. So now I've done the one set that I've been using, and now here's the new set, and that's 3/8 of an inch in from the side and from the top. Okay, and then I just simply, when I had my pieces ready to punch, I lined them up and then used that as my pattern. Okay, so I already had punched these holes, so I'm just going to go ahead and go in with my Crop-A-Dile and punch those holes again. And hold on a second. There we go. Things getting in the way. Sometimes it's easier for me, of course it is kind of thick, to see it from the side and punch it from the top down. There we go. That's good. And then punch it from the top down. So I should have done this at the end after I papered everything, but like I said, I got a little excited. Okay. So now I've got my holes punched. Now let's do this side here. So again, I'm just going to take my paper and I'm going to line it up nice and even. And then you can take a clamp, you know, and help hold it in place so that it doesn't move around on you while you do this. And then grab your crocodile and then punch those holes. So let me do that real quick. And I love my crocodile, but I don't love that the stuff gets stuck in there. All right. There we go. Now, these holes are going to be for your ring binder, or your book rings, I should say. That's what we're going to bind our album with. And I'll show you that in just a second. Okay. So we got that part done. Get rid of that. Take the clamps off. Take my pattern off. And if you're off just a little bit, it's okay, because it will actually be, this is pretty a forgiving kind of thing. So now you'll see that I have these little hole reinforcements here. I have a die that I ran some strips of pattern paper through from the collection, and I made these little hole reinforcements. You could take, my other trick is to grab hole reinforcements from, you know, the office store and color them, but the only problem with those is that they are 1/4 inch holes instead of 3/16. Your crocodile is a 3/16. So unless you have the new hole punchers that go, you know, and do a 1/4 inch hole, that idea with the office hole reinforcements that you can color with Sharpies or whatever isn't going to work too good. But if you have a die that does this, then that works too. Now, the other thing you can do is for your covers, you could also set eyelets in here if you wanted to. I chose to use the pattern paper because I think it was pretty and I could use my scraps, and I thought it kind of just gave it a little finished look, and then I ended up doing it on all the pages too, so it kind of had a continuity to it that I liked. Okay, so once you do all that, then we'll take our album and we're gonna put it down, and then I'm gonna show you the cover that I made for the album. Okay, so the cover for the album is not chipboard. It is just a piece of cardstock that's 7.5 by 5.5, and then I double matted with some pattern paper on the front. And this first polka dotted piece is 7 3/8 by 5 3/8, and then this piece right here was 7 by 5. And again, I was trying to use up my scraps to make a nice cover. Then, so I was trying to think, you know, it's a birthday album, so I wanted to make a little birthday card. So this is a 3x4 cut apart, and then I just cut a piece of red cardstock that is 6.5 by 4 1/4, and then on the 6.5 I just scored it down the middle at 3 1/4, and then that made the cute little card. And then I added a small magnet so that it would stay shut, although you don't really have to, because when this album is closed, and that is in the front, this bow will keep it shut. So if you don't want to use a magnet, you don't have to. I added the hole reinforcements to that, and then on the back of this, I did the same thing I did to the back chipboard piece here, and I just added a strip of pattern paper that I had and glued it on 3 sides to make another pocket. And then these tags that I added in both of the pockets are just leftover pieces that I put together. So these are 4x4 squares, and this is a 4x6 piece, and they're all blank on the back side, but you could put lots of pictures on there too. So this cover will go like that, and then let's look at the pages that I did make, and I'll show you those. So let's take the cover off to the side. So these pages are all built the same. They are all pocket pages, so you can see there's a nice big pocket. So here is my idea for this album. So this album is a years 1 through 10 birthday album. You can make as many pages as you want. you know, obviously you can do whatever you want. But my initial thing was years 1 through 10. So first birthday, put a really nice picture here. There's a little space. I adhered this on 3 sides and put a little tag. It says cake is better with friends. So you could put the year 1 picture here, and then year 2 is on the back. So second year picture here. There's also another little tag that you could do journaling on the back with. And then the middle section, let me put the tag back in there. The middle section, the pocket, you could put some extra pictures in there. But this is meant to be kind of a commemorative album. It's not meant to hold every single picture you took for every single birthday, but it's meant to hold a few special pictures and 1 page for each year up to 10 years. And then as you flip the album over, you can see how it's going to kind of become an album. So I use scraps. I was trying to use up scraps. I hardly had any pattern paper left over. So let's go through these super quick. So there's like 10 pages, and I have 2 of each of the kind of styles that I did. So on this one, this is like a 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 inch photo mat, and I just used some strips to piece it together. This is, I want to say, page 2, 3 5/8 by 5 3/8. And just half, 1 on each side. And again, I will have these measurements listed below in the description. So if you want to make it exactly how I made it, I have measurements for this, and I have measurements for the pattern paper and the strips and stuff that I used. So you don't have to get crazy with writing it all down now. It'll be in the descriptions down below with all the other information. So for year 5, I have this big piece, and this is 5 3/8 by 5 3/8, and then the piece of pattern paper to go with it. And you can see I did the whole reinforcements on each page. And these little tickets were a die cut that I had, and then these are die cut numbers that I had. So I used as many scraps as I possibly could to finish this album up. So there's year 5, and over here on year 6. Oh, and some pages, I didn't have a whole lot of tags left either. So some pages don't have a tag, but that's okay because it adds to the interest. So year 6, it's time for party games with a nice little tag there. Year 7, and you can see how they kind of start over again. Some pages, I have 2 pages that I had actual full pieces of pattern paper, and I went ahead and used them. And again, also there's a tag there. So here's year 9. You can put 2 little pictures there. And then year 10, a big picture. So you can see that's kind of my thinking of this album. So we do need to make pages 3 and 4 because I wanted to show you how this went together. So let's do that. And again, I made 5 pages total, which is, 10 years, 10 pages front and back. So let's go through this to make the page. Each page is 8 by 11 1/2. So you'll need 5 of these, 8 by 11 1/2. Then you're going to take your scoreboard and put it in your scoreboard, and you're going to grab your bone folder scoring tool. On the 8-inch side, we're going to score once just at 1/2, and then you're going to turn it. And on the 11 1/2-inch side, you're going to score at 1/2 and at 6. Super easy. Take it out of the scoreboard. Let's miter some corners here. Just cut that one clean off. And then what we're going to do here is we're going to miter this corner, and then we're going to cut this whole 1/2-inch tab out. This is going to create our pocket here. Okay? So we're going to go ahead and fold these over, burnish them. See, I'm always making a mess too. I always start off with everything so nice and neat, and then as I get to crafting, it turns into an absolute disaster area, and then I can't find anything. All right, and then I don't have any room, and then I have to clean up so I can craft some more. So then make sure that it's nice and even, and sometimes, like I didn't quite get the score cut out. So I'm going to actually wait, and when I glue this down, then I'm going to trim it up a little bit. So just take some glue, put some glue on the, dried it up. Get my glue working again. Okay, so I'm gonna go and do this, put the glue on, and fold it over, stick her down, make sure we got a good stick. Okay, now the other thing too is it's not super uber critical. I have all my pockets opening to the right, and so just make sure when you're doing your pages that you just cutting that extra little sliver off that was hanging over without cutting my score. That would be bad. Pocket wouldn't be a pocket anymore. So just make sure that the page is, you know, oriented the way you want it. It can go either way. You can do one on each side. It doesn't really matter. So this one's going to be page 3. So here's the pieces that I did for page 3. Page 3 and 8 were identical. So I did have a biggish piece of this really cute candle paper. And then this is a 4 1/4 by 6. And then I have a cute little tag, which I need some black. I didn't get, I'm going to have to find some black seam binding. I didn't cut that out for the page, but that's okay. That is okay. So this is going to go like this. I didn't ink the edges of these papers too. That's something you could do if you wanted to. I didn't really want to on this project, so I didn't. So put our pattern paper down. This is simple, and you can do this on every single page if you wanted to. You can make these all exactly the same and do a piece of pattern paper on each page and then put just a giant photo map. You totally do that. Now, if you did that, you will need 5 sheets of 12 by 12 double-sided pattern paper, and you cut out 2 of these at 7 3/8 by 5 3/8, and then use one side for one page and then the other pattern for the other page. And if you use 5 papers, then that will work. So then this guy, we're just going to do the 3 sides because we're going to make it a pocket. And on mine, I did it about, and I'm eyeballing it here, but about 1/4 inch here. Okay. There we go. Then this guy right here, so our little number here, you can figure out where you would like it. You could put it anywhere, you know, you really want to put it, doesn't really matter. I'm just going to put it, like, I'm going to try not to put it where the hole's going to be. So I'll put it down just a wee bit. And then just adhere it so that you can get a picture underneath there. So only adhere it to the top. And then our little tag will go in there. The little seam binding knot will go right here. And then that will help so it doesn't slide all the way under the picture. So I'm going to take it out for now until I get that seam binding piece. But that's kind of the idea with the bows too, so it doesn't like all the way go in. So page 3 is essentially done. So let's turn it over and let's work on page 4. Now page 4 is going to be kind of fun because this is going to have a lot of pieces. And so we're going to have 2 photo mats that are going to go like this. We're going to have this guy that's going to go up the middle. Yeah, I did do that. And then we're going to have these 2 little pieces with the cute little seals and elephants and stuff right up here. Just like that. Okay? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to attempt to get this nice and lined up before I glue anything down and just make sure that I've kind of got everything centered nicely. And I'm going to be very quiet because that makes it easier, right? And I hear my husband, he's outside. He's washing our deck because we are going to restain it. There you go. That looks pretty even. Let's double check this. I just want to make sure I get this I don't want it to be too wonky here. Okay, so let's grab this. So that's how it's going to lay. And then I'm just going to piece these things down. This piece is 5/8 inch. Oh no. Dropped it. That's awesome, right? I'm good. I'm very good. All right. So let's go. That's right about there. Glue that down. So this is page 4. This was 5/8 inch wide by 5 3/8 inch tall. Okay. And then these two pieces here, the photo mats, the ivory photo mats, are 3 1/4 by 4 1/4. So then I'm just gonna line that up. Try and get it as even as I possibly can. I'm trying. And then get your little piece here. And then line that up at the top. And, you know, there you go. There. See, isn't this cute? So it's a fun way to be able to still make pages and then, you know, use up scraps. And I don't know about you, but I tend to save everything. And it's like, even if I don't know if I can use it or not. But that is what I ended up doing, like making the numbers and stuff. All of the numbers totally came from little bitty bits of scraps because they're not that big. And then these strips and everything, I mean, some of them I barely had to trim in order to get them on the paper. So this worked out pretty good. The other thing that I did was, you know, you notice that all the pages are a little different and they're, you know, kind of opposite from, they're not the same on both sides, I should say. And when you're piecing your papers, that kind of helps add to the stability of the page if you have, you know, two things that are kind of different. And with the glue, it helps really stiffen them up. So if you wanted to put or make these pages so that they were just 7 1/2 by 5 without a pocket, you totally could. And in doing like one arrangement on one side and one arrangement on the other side will help also to sturdy it up so that it would be nice and durable. Okay, so I hope that made sense. And then, so my little 4, let's see. Yeah, I think I'm going to put it right in the middle. I think I like that. Just put a little glue in the middle and right in the middle of the pictures. So if you want to eyeball this here, about there, right about there. Can go right in the middle and you can still get your pictures underneath because it won't be glued on the other side. So there you go. So there's your 4 right there. So then all you got to do now is grab your template for our holes and we're going to line those up. We'll go ahead and clip that so hopefully it doesn't move around a lot. And then we're going to go ahead and punch our holes. However is more comfortable for you. Sometimes it's easier for me to see it from the side and then I squeeze the handle a little bit so that the cutting part comes down and then I can just kind of like really gently fit it in the hole with feel, you know, by feel, and then punch my holes. So that's sometimes how I do that. And then what we're going to do is grab our eyelets again, or eyelets, our hole reinforcers that are pretty much, you know, they're actually going to work for the pages. They're gonna be nice reinforcements for the pages, but they're also pretty decorative too, I think. Yeah, there we go. And so we'll need a bunch of those. See, I forget, 5, 6, 7, 8 times 4. You'll need 32 of them if you do this route. I made a whole lot more than 32, but I'm sure I will find another use for them somewhere else. All right, so my little hole reinforcers. And then I don't know if I said this or not, but I lined them with score tape on the back before I ran them through my die machine, so then that way they just turned into stickers, and I was able to stick them down. And then if you have, like, there we go. The paper was a little bit jagged, but anyway, so there you go. So then the next thing we're gonna do is grab our book. We're gonna make sure all of our pages are in order. So we have our cover, and then we have year 1. And year 3 needs to go behind that because it'll be 1, 2, 3. Okay, so 3, 5, 7, 9, and our back page. Okay, so there's our book. Now, rings. You probably will want bigger ones. I have these that are 1.25 inches, and then I have these that are like about 1 inch. I'm going to go with the 1.25 inches. I think that they're going to work, and especially if you start filling this up, you're going to want a few more you know, you're going to want more space. How about that? Use my words. And then you could always do bigger rings if you needed to, if you really did stack this up or added more pages to it. Totally could do bigger rings. Boom. There we go. Okay, so now our book is bound. When we want to display it, we just fold it out and it stands up, and then here's our album. Oop, come on now. Like that. And then you just turn it, and then every year, you know, there's year 3, there's year 2. So this is it. Is that not the cutest thing you have ever seen, or what? I just think this album turned out really, really super cute. So then when you're done displaying your album, you could leave it out totally. You fold up the inside. It folds flat. And then you take your ribbons, tie it around. And again, you don't need to do a magnet on the card if you didn't want to, because this will hold it shut, but I just felt like I wanted to. And then the other thing too is I was going to mention that I had an idea for the card. So when you open it up, it has 2 spots for 2 pictures. You could put the 1st birthday on one and the 10th birthday on the other, since this is a years 1 through 10 themed album. And is that not just really super cute? So then the last thing I did was I wanted to make a charm for my album. And I had gone to a scrapbook convention and found these jewelry making kits that I bought, and I haven't done a thing with them. And I was like, what am I going to do with them? Well, then the idea hit me. I could make my own charm for this album. So this panda came from the stickers that were in the collection. This was a cute little tag sticker, and it fit that shape just perfect. So all I did was I used my glossy accents on the glass part and stuck it onto the sticker, and then I used my art glitter glue to glue this glass part into the charm. And you can see it's kind of, it has some dimension and everything. And then that's how I made this cute little panda charm with the sticker from the collection. I took a little piece of seam binding and tied a bow around the top of it, and then I had this little ball chain keychain in my stash, and you could use this, you could use another book ring. I'm gonna throw it. Hold on a second. I'm always throwing things during my videos. Oh my god. Too funny. Okay. So anyway, so then all I did was I just hooked that bad boy here. You could use jump rings, you could use another small book ring, you could use whatever, but then you have a nice little charm that goes with the album itself. So that is my project, ladies and gentlemen. This is my Authentique Hooray Easel Album, and I just think it turned out really, really super, super cute, and has a ton of applications. You could make this for a whole bunch of stuff. Now, I wrote a list. because I got too excited and I was like, you know what? There's so many things that you could do with this. Okay, so birthday album. You could do a recipe album with this. You could do a Christmas album, do like newlywed, their first 10 years together, Christmases together. You could do a holiday. You could do a page per holiday and do like a whole year's worth of a holiday celebration. You could do high school. You could make only 4 pages if you wanted to, and then each page would be like, you know, freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. You could make a calendar out of this. I mean, so many different ideas. And then while I'm on this, I just got to show you this really super quick. This is another Authentique collection that I had that was in my stash. This was my practice album that I did. And I mean, look, I made another charm here. I didn't tie a bow on it, but I mean, this was part of the paper collection that I made the other charm for. Super, super cute. This one, remember how I told you I get excited and I don't put my seam binding on? Well, that's what I did here. So I put a strip of pattern paper over that to put my seam binding on and then put a sticker on there. But this is pretty much the same. The only thing that I did different was that all of my pages were covered with pattern paper, and I used the same type of mat, and then I just adhered the mat on 2 sides so I could put yet another large mat underneath. So you can see that this album has a ton of potential for this, and I just got really excited when I saw, you know, or when I started thinking about all the different things that you could do with it. So anyway, so that's my album. This again was my 3rd design team project for Country Craft Creations using Authentique's Hooray line of papers, and it is super cute, and I had a lot of fun with it, and I just really thank you for watching this tutorial. I will be back soon with another set of projects for my next design team package, and thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a really awesome day. Stay crafty, stay safe with everything opening. Just be careful, be aware, it's still out there. Just be safe, all right? Take care. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.